and welcome to my channel. I am Mindy, and today I have here
Erik Thor.
Erik Thor.
Yes, I always say it with the last name. Not sure why.
Yeah. No, you say the name is Erik Thor.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Now I was a bit thrown off.
Erik is today here with me in person, in my place, to talk with you about ENFPs and INFJs, their conflicts, and how can they work on solving those conflicts.
Yeah, and I understand you've had a lot of conflicts with INFJs.
I'm choking already. I have great INFJ friends, and sometimes we do have this like conflicts, clashes. And since we've known each other for our whole lives, maybe we can share our struggles in camera as well.
Yeah, totally. We've known each other since kindergarten, so we've had so many conflicts. No. We actually just met.
Yeah, we just met. This is yeah, super fun. We happen both to live in the same city. I invited you to my channel because you're an INFJ, I'm an ENFP, and I was trying to figure out how to work on these issues. And the particular issue that I noticed myself is introverted thinking of INFJ and extroverted thinking of the ENFP become quite problematic when they have a difference in opinions, for instance.
Right, so is it difficult for you when INFJs detach and kind of become a bit more cold or a bit like communicative?
I don't think I consider that detached. I see them like very passionate about whatever opinion they're trying to defend, and they are the opposite to detached, but maybe that's just my opinion. I'm trying to exercise my introverted thinking now.
you mean that we get attached to an opinion and to what we want, and then we don't change our minds easily?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Right. Do you also notice that with INTJs, or?
Not in my experience in that level. Yes, they can also be fixated with whatever they think is the truth, but I find that to be more of an issue with the INFJs, and I'm talking specifically about my experience.
Yeah, like I'm surprised by it because a lot of the time I feel that INFJs try very much to relate to other people and to connect to and understand where other people are coming from. So in that sense, INFJs can appear super open-minded. However, it is true what you say, that INFJs, they tend to, no matter what, even if they can compromise on a lot of things, the foundation always stays the same. So they will usually have a main point that they will keep coming back to. Yes,
and I think that at the same time, while they're doing that, let's say, you say this is my opinion and then I don't agree with it, the INFJ, I notice, has a hard time with the emotions it provokes because they want to agree with me, but they can't. You know, it's like I see the struggle, like they don't agree, but I don't want to fight with you yet. At the same time, that truth I know, or I think I know, or I'm trying to find out while I discuss with you, is so strong that I have to disappoint you, and that creates more of an issue. So it becomes more and more.
So tell me, okay, this is actually really interesting. What is a concrete discussion you had where this has happened?
It's not big things. That's the thing. Like, okay, that's why I think ENFPs and INFJs are a great duo. And I have another video you can watch right now, and it's called "Why ENFPs and INFJs Are Soulmates." And in many or most of the important values I found with the INFJs, we share them. But sometimes it's trivial stuff, or not so trivial, but for instance, we were talking with my INFJ friend, one of my INFJ friends the other day, about God. And you know, the nature of God is not something that you can actually explain and you can try to define. And even though this person is open to the idea of God, and she says, I believe in God, at the same time, she is always questioning whether it's true or whether he, for me is a he, exists or not. And then for me, it is just a given. It exists. So I just go and I say, it exists because there is evidence in my life. So then I look introverted feeling, this is what I've seen.
Personal experiences.
Personal experiences. And then with my NE, I look into like the big picture and all of the miracles I've seen and the things that happen, and it works out at the very last minute, and it can only be God. So TE, I've decided this is God. And there is like, why? And then I'm like, but why do you spend your time? Because it can go like on and on and on. No, but what if it's not true? What if he doesn't exist? What if he is not blah, blah, blah? What if he's an alien? Whatever. And I say, it doesn't matter if he's an alien. If you believe, I don't think it's an alien, but if you believe and you live accordingly to these principles, your life turns out to be just better and more fulfilled. So I see it in a practical way, and this just makes this person like, no, because there's no evidence.
Right. You know, I have a funny theory.
Okay.
And that's that religious belief is in part genetically affected. And that some people are genetically hardwired to want to believe in something. They need to have something to believe in because it's very important to them. And, you know, I think also what you said is true. Belief is super important. I think it was belief that made people cross the ocean from Europe to the US once, because you had no idea where you were going. You had just this sheer idea that maybe if I go here with the boat on this suicide mission, no idea what's going to happen. And if I just go here long enough, I'm going to find land. And the only way to justify that is some kind of belief or religious belief or something that says this is true, this is really important. So some people really seem to have that capacity to believe in things, while some people don't seem to have that. Yeah. Some people really seem to absolutely dislike the idea of belief and seem to really struggle with it because they can't understand it. What is belief? What's the point of it? Because that, to them, it's not a motivator, it's not a value.
Yeah, and do you have that yourself, like in this particular example of religion and faith?
Honestly, I'm not sure.
You're not sure. That's the INFJ. Very INFJ.
I can definitely see that I've had a calling towards spiritual topics for most of my life. I've been drawn to understanding the world, but I think it's been my fascination with understanding things that have really drawn me to those subjects. I don't necessarily think it's the belief itself that's drew me there as much as why. Why is this there? Why do people believe in this? Why is this so important to people? Because I really want to understand what people are all about and what makes people tick and what's important to people.
Yeah.
But maybe there is some small part of me that also finds a need to like find some kind of metaphysical or abstract explanation for things. Maybe I need to believe in something more than science. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man, that's TI. I just explained it as an introverted thinking thing, and I don't think you're like, when you explain that, it's like just pure TI, and I don't think you're doing the like the negative loop that I think I explained to you in the email as well, didn't I? Where you just get narrow-minded and this is it, whatever, and that's where the problem comes with the ENFP and the INFJ. I think you just explained it in a very healthy way. I think you're exercising very well. You're healthy TI. I'm trying to do as well.
So you're thinking that there is a healthy and unhealthy way to use TI for INFJ. What would you say is the difference?
If we would be talking about something that is really important to you, I don't know if the gods of religion, spirituality subject is really important, but if we were talking about something very specific, and I would say, or I would be against it, or I would say like, no, I don't think it's like that way, blah, blah, blah. Maybe then, I don't know if you, but INFJs could go into this, what I consider the negative way is like using NI to deepening into that thought they're having. They don't look much outside of that particular thing, and they just go on and deeper, trying to find more logical reasons around, but it doesn't really take them anywhere because they're already like only looking there, unless they give it a new space for new thoughts to come in or ideas.
You know how it goes, you know, everyone has insecurities. And I think the third function, TI for an INFJ, introverted thinking, is deeply rooted in our, like deeply connected to the main insecurities that INFJs have. And I think an INFJ's main insecurity is that we are ignorant. We hate the idea that we would be ignorant about something, that are unaware about something. We want to have an answer to everything and an explanation for everything. And beyond that, to not feel like you have all the answers, to not feel like you have it all figured out. That's, yeah, that's, I think the one of the biggest fears and insecurities of an INFJ. So that I think is why we retreat to this like mind palace, like where we just narrow down on like one or two possible questions and just keep going in circles around that, because we get stuck. We don't.
Yeah.
Introverted thinking is an internal process, so it starts inside. When introverted thinking is healthy, it forms an idea about something and then it goes out and tests that theory. But when it's not healthy, it stays in there.
Yeah. But I also think it's the combination with introverted intuition. And I have another video where I talk about the ENFP and the ESTP synergy. And there I say, okay, the introverted thinking of the ESTP, because it's combined with extroverted sensing, which is their dominant function, is so much lighter. It's like they will be very playful and like do the logical, like play a game in their minds and stuff. But because they're so much material and here and now oriented, they won't go like that far as the INFJ to get frustrated and to, you know, hate me for a moment, kind of, because I don't let them go deep down the rabbit hole, basically.
Yeah, like I think a lot of INFJs miss out on the playfulness. Like we're too serious too early. We were born like very old people almost, like in a sense, like because we want to have an answer for everything. We want to have a solution for everything, but we only think we have a solution for everything. It's like untested knowledge. Like we have to go out and apply ourselves and put our ideas to use in the world.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it stays like just a crazy theory in our own heads, you know.
Yeah.
And it becomes something serious and boring. But I think when you go out into the world and you start testing things, and you start like having connections and meeting people and putting yourself out there, you realize how absurd the world is. And that's also, I think, when the INFJ's sense of humor comes out, like when we start recognizing how silly things around us are, in a sense. And yeah.
We just had a technical issue.
Yeah, the camera blew up.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, but okay, I was going to say that you just mentioned the main fear of the INFJ, not being able to know the truth, to be wrong, to be ignorant.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's the moment I've noticed that the ENFP gets triggered because they find it to be a waste of their times. I attribute this to extroverted thinking. And that's why I said this is one of the main issues of this too, because in general, they're like super fun and happy together, blah, blah, blah. But when they have a difference in opinions, I think it's NI-TI loop of the INFJ gets present. At the same time, NE-TE of the ENFP gets also present. And I would say it's a bit of, NE is impatient and wants to move fast, you know, and then the INFJ is in this kind of close-minded moment and just like, okay, they're trying to find the truth because they're afraid that they're gonna be ignorant, for instance. And the ENFP is like, but you're not gonna reach that understanding or truth. What are we doing here? And I'm not saying that the ENFP is always gonna like try to avoid having conversations. I think it's like because they see the struggle of the INFJ in those particular moments when they seem like one single vision oriented, they just feel like, okay, this is not helping them. This is not making them feel better. This is not letting me explain. I can explain, but it's not being heard. We're wasting our times. So, and the INFJ will get even more, like maybe the ENFP would not say it with these words, and the INFJ will feel, even though the ENFP doesn't say it, like they will feel it. They will know. They will know that the ENFP thinks it's a waste of time what they're doing.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think you hit the nail on the head on the biggest reason why INFJs get into conflict with almost any personality type. I think not just the ENFPs. And I think it's because when we take introverted thinking, we direct logic inside. We go inside, we try to figure out the answer by ourselves, we try to think of the answer. And I think there's an implicit thing here, that we don't have the answer. And I think that makes it pretty obvious to everyone around us that, okay, he doesn't have the answer, he doesn't know. And I think that's a pressure point it's so easy for other people to see that and to want to pressure on that. Okay, you don't have the answer, so why are you going inside when you could listen to me or like listen to my point of view instead? this is why I think a lot of INFJs get into conflicts, because we invite the discussion to ourselves because we go inside to ourselves.
Yeah, so you have had that yourself with other personality types that are not ENFPs.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, I've had this happen to me many times in discussions, that when there's a problem, I want to go solve it by myself, my own way. And I want to come up with an explanation for why it works and how it works. And it's a way of cutting myself off from other people, because other people cannot intervene in that process or help me with that. And I think that can also upset people, because then they're like, but I can help you with this, or if you would let me, and if you would open up and let me.
Yes, and the ENFP suffers. I think the ENFP suffers big time when they see the INFJ doing that. I mean, I don't know exactly what functions makes the ENFP suffer because of the suffering that the INFJ is going through. I honestly haven't given a thought to it. I just had this idea now. But the ENFP suffers because they see that this person who actually, the ENFP values the INFJ, intelligence, opinions. The INFJ brings a lot into like the life and understandings and like whatever like concepts that the ENFP is building. The INFJ does that. And in the moment, like it's my sort of, how do you say, like a figure I hold high up is having this moment, and I'm like, but no, you're brilliant, don't go there. That's kind of the thing I had.
Yeah, I think something
and suffer for it's not my problem, and I suffer because of that. Sorry.
Yeah, because what I'm also getting is a lot of INFJs feel that other people don't try to understand our situation and our point of view, and that other people are attacking us or getting at us. While we just want space to think and to figure things out and to come up with an answer. And so I think ENFPs might get into the trap of pushing an INFJ's point too much, or really interfering with the thought process of the INFJ, and being like, hello, open up, talk, and let's have a discussion about this. I think that can be something that ENFPs, they get impatient. They want to rush a conclusion. Yes, and the INFJ then feels like, okay, I'm not being heard, I'm not being, like, this person doesn't want to stop for a moment and just listen, but the INFP is listening. I just don't agree with what you're saying, but okay, with what you're doing with yourself, going down the rabbit hole, basically. Yeah.
But I do think, like, okay, from the INFJ perspective, then the problem is that the ENFP doesn't give space, doesn't listen, doesn't validate their need for logical reasoning or thinking.
Yeah, it's not even that you have to validate or agree with anything that we say. It's just sometimes I think INFJs need time to process and make up their mind. And sometimes during a discussion, the right solution is not to keep discussing, but instead to take a step back and, okay, let's come back to this later. Yeah,
that really works. So let's talk about the solutions.
Yeah. Yeah, what are your solutions for an ENFP and an INFJ? How can we talk better with each other's?
Well, if this happens, by the way, if you're watching, put in the comments below if you have experienced this, if you're an ENFP and INFJ, of course. And if there is other kind of issues that you notice are common between these two types, also put it in the comments below. How to treat this? Okay, what I do myself. Well, first of all, I have had tons of millions of fights or arguments with the INFJs because of these very reasons. What I do and what always works is what you just mentioned. Like just let it go. Don't continue. But normally it escalates a bit far when the two people are already kind of almost killing each other. But maybe it's wise to notice when you're reaching the point that you're losing it, and just stop. And watching this kind of videos will help you to understand that this is something that you maybe naturally fall into, that's a tendency, and that you don't need to let it escalate that much.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's enough to say stop or pause.
Yeah.
honestly, I think the main problem in the modern society today is that we can't handle disagreements with any type. We all want to agree, and we all want to find people that think the way we do, and so we get like lost in these small cliques and bubbles where everyone agrees with each other's. Yeah. But it becomes very fake. It becomes hard to have real meaningful discussions because we couldn't possibly agree on everything. There's so many things happening in the world and so many different ways of seeing the world. How could we possibly hope to agree with everyone on everything?
Yeah, no, it's impossible.
So my question for you is, do you feel that, and I've heard this come out a lot of times, that ENFPs are more authentic than INFJs?
What a question.
It's a very loaded question.
You're gonna make me fight with my besties now, with my INFJ besties.
Oh, they're just unfollowing right now.
No. Like saying that they're unauthentic, I think it's a big word. Okay, I do think that they should listen more to themselves because they are too focused on the other. And more often than not, they forget to look inwards and what is that I need, and am I having actually this discussion because of me or because I think the other needs it? I don't know, whatever. It's more outwardly focused, the INFJ, but I don't call that being unauthentic. That's just a different way of being.
Yeah, I wouldn't see that as inauthentic either.
Inauthentic or unauthentic?
Inauthentic.
I don't know.
Honestly, I don't know either.
I always make mistakes.
Inauthentic.
Inauthentic.
Yes.
Unauthentic.
Basically, the way I see it, the authenticity is sometimes confused as introverted feeling, and that's why I asked. I had a discussion with this in my community the other day because we were discussing what is introverted feeling and what is extroverted feeling. INFJs are supposed to have extroverted feeling, and ENFPs are supposed to have introverted feeling. But what I'm getting at is I don't think it has anything to do with authenticity at all. Just like I don't think extroverted feeling has anything to do with being selfless. I think that's a misunderstanding. I think people misunderstand the selflessness of the ENFP because I feel ENFPs, they can be very accommodating to other people's needs without saying it and without necessarily directly like showing care. They more like give room for other people a lot of time. That's what I'm seeing. ENFPs, they're very accepting.
Yeah, well, I think that no, I was like,
wait a second. You're like, no.
I agree. I was just having a big realization while you were saying that. That was my face. I think that the ENFP does not do it in a conscious level. So maybe this is what happens. So maybe you use introverted feeling more consciously and extroverted feeling more consciously in the case of INFJ. But you do like listen to yourself as well, and you do it subconsciously. So you do choose things that you want to do and not like, you go to places where you want to go, not where everybody wants to go. And the same goes with the ENFP. I mean, the ENFP can be very accommodating, as you say, or they take others into consideration to the point that people say that to me and I'm like, did I do that? Like, I'm not even aware. It just happens. But it's not like, I don't think it's my main thing, but yeah, I don't know.
That's also something I notice is that when I say something negative about myself, ENFPs, they will often take it and turn it into something positive about me. That's something like they constantly like retwist everything I say. Oh, that's another way of looking at it. I didn't think about it like that. And I think what happens is, I think what extroverted feeling really is, or what introverted feeling really is, it's taking something you hear and then processing it and deciding for yourself, okay, how do I feel about that? What do I think about that? It's processing values and things that you hear and see and people like.
As an ENFP myself, I don't think I do it in that order. It's not that I hear like, oh, how does that feel? I just feel it, and then I'm just like annoyed or I'm happy, or it's not something like that I do consciously. Okay, how does that make me feel? Not at all.
No, you don't reflect on what other people tell you and how that influences your behavior and mood.
Not always, no. That's a good question. No, like I can do that, but it's not like I do that 100% of the time.
No.
No.
I think it's an interesting discussion as well because I don't think that either ENFPs or INFJs are pure introverted feelers or pure extroverted
No,
feelers?
they're intuitive, introverted, and
Yeah,
extroverted.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what I'm noticing is, and I do notice this in all my tests, INFJs and ENFPs, they tend to get kind of average scores on both introverted feeling and extroverted feeling, in that they can relate a little bit to both in some ways, but not completely.
Yeah.
With extrovert intuition, ENFPs are always like 80% yes, 100% yeah, sure, definitely. But with introverted feeling, it's more like, yeah, sometimes.
I have a video on my channel about introverted feeling for the ENFP and how that is important. It's important function to develop, because it's not like a given. If we say like, oh no, I'm an ENFP and I'm an FI user. Yes, you use it, but you should be using it more than what you're actually doing. And the video is actually, I made it as a sort of success guide for ENFPs. You should watch it. I'm gonna put it down below.
You're really getting that click-through rate on YouTube at this moment.
Yeah, so there I say like, okay, the ENFP, because they're an extroverted intuitive, their intuition will push them to, have different ideas and projects to do, blah, 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 blah. But then they will go into like extroverted thinking, skipping the second function, and then they would just impulsively go and do things, but they didn't check in with their introverted like core values, FI, if that's actually something that they do want to do, or is something that they're like super explorating mind wants.
Yeah. And doesn't that make it feel empty after a while if you go out and do it?
Of course.
And you didn't want to do it in the first place.
But the thing is, like, extroverted intuition is so strong for the ENFP, and extroverted thinking is also such a, like, how do you say, like, it's always there, pushing, that it's not that you feel empty, you just do things. And down the line, like, there is a point when you say, like, maybe not if you are in your teens or if you're in your early 20s, but sometime down the line, late 20s, you're like, okay, actually, I don't know why I'm doing this. What should I do? Is this actually true to me?
Do you think that you get confused by advertising and status and things like that? That those things like become, oh, everyone should want this, or everyone is doing it. So do you think that influences your decisions to TE?
Yes, to some extent, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because what I'm noticing with the third function is that it often gets confused with status. Like, I think when you are very much in the third function, you constantly want approval from other people and what you're doing. You want other people to agree with you. INFJs want everyone to think, oh, you're so right, you're so correct, everything is 100% thought through. I think with the third function then, you need to go into the second function to see the meaning of what you're doing. You need to have to understand, okay, but for myself, do I value this for myself? No matter, even if nobody else agrees with this, you need the second function to verify.
Yeah, that's why I think that you should not be going first from the dominant to the tertiary function and then check in with the second function. I think you should go from your ideas into what I want, is this true to me, and then into actions. Yeah. Not skipping stuff. So go and watch the video because it's there. Okay, so what would be your advice, going back into the subject, for the INFJ and the ENFP struggles they have? How can they overcome it?
I think the best way to overcome the struggles are for both to work on their own personal issues. I think a lot of the time to work through it, and okay, I have these issues, I know I have these patterns, I know I have these bad habits, and to basically stop doing that.
It's not that easy to just stop doing that.
I know it's really difficult. It's so difficult. Honestly, I think maybe what you have, your theory that you just brought up, I feel like this is a MINDI theory. Start with the first function, then go to the second function, then go to the third function, then go to the fourth function. So if an INFJ is getting stuck inside their heads, I think go first to extroverted feeling, okay, or introverted intuition, even if that's not even there. Okay, where are you coming from in this, or what is it you're trying to do? Okay, I don't, even if we disagree here, what is it your goal is, or what is it you're trying to do with this discussion? Why are we here to begin with? Yeah.
And maybe you're talking about from the ENFP point of view perspective, right?
Yeah, what the ENFPs can do.
Yeah.
I think also tell us when we should stop doing something. Like when we get into a bad habit or a loop or something, because we get into loops, and I think that's with the third function. All types get into loops, and we can't see when we're in the loop. So to have people around us that can recognize our patterns and remind us of them, like, didn't you, like, for example, if an ENFP is like thinking about moving to Aruba, and they've got this whole thing planned out, and they're like, but to have a friend that said, but didn't you want to move to Portugal last week? To have somebody be like, wait a second, yeah, I did, but why? And what?
Yeah, I do think that sometimes the INFJ in these discussions that like this loop NITI that they have, there are also sometimes moments, of course, when they're trying to help the ENFP, as you say, they would say like, okay, why are you doing that? They will question what the ENFP is doing. So there is also a value in having someone as an ENFP, an INFJ, telling you, like giving you a kind of another point of view and digging in and trying to find logical reasons for what you ENFP are doing. So the ENFP tends to just think like, okay, no, but why am I going to look at all of the bad possible scenarios or outcomes? Why do I need that? But sometimes you need to listen. So it's about learning also about the other world.
I think those are some things that INFJs can do for ENFPs, definitely. First, to get you to stop thinking about the past and past failures and worrying about introverted sensing.
Oh, that hurts me. Oh. Ow.
Because for us, the past is not that important. We don't judge people based on the past and who they have been in the past. We look at people fresh and from who they can be. And second, I think something we can do is provide you with the rationalization for the things you're doing, because sometimes I think ENFPs can go like, am I crazy, or am I like, why am I even in this to begin with? But INFJs can usually see and understand, oh yeah, but it makes sense that you want that, or that makes sense that you're going to do this, because we can provide like an analysis or like a reflection on a lot of the things that ENFPs do. You
know, the thing is, like, for the ENFP, it's very hard to do this, like to accept this and to be all the time open to this kind of reasoning, because of introverted thinking is so far, like for us, it's like it's a polar function. It's like super hard. Like I can't describe so well what introverted thinking is. Like I can from a like psychological point of view, I can kind of point out, and I've been working consciously on understanding that. And I know I do it better now. For instance, like I would listen more before I would say like, oh yeah, no, but I would listen. Hold on, don't say anything, and then okay, accept it. What if it's true, you know? But it's not something that comes easily to us, and I've done some work in order to be able to 10% doing it.
You will get there. You know, it is people treat the last four functions as something impossible, or some shadow side deep in the unconscious that you've never used or never interact with, but you use all the cognitive functions, and you will grow and become better at using them as you get older. What I'm noticing is I'm starting to work through extroverted thinking now, and it's making me a lot better at handling conflict and confrontation. And it's giving me a sense of humor that I didn't have before, in a sense. So it's made me a little bit more sarcastic, but in a good way, I hope.
Yeah. How is that experience? I'm curious. Like, how do you experience now the TE?
For me, it was like I found it so difficult to have conflicts and disagreements with other people, and I would often retreat inside myself whenever it happened and make it about me and my issues and my struggles. I was very self-focused in problem solving. But what I'm noticing now is that it's all right to push other people sometimes, and you don't have to fear being a little bit aggressive sometimes, and really getting down on people and poking people and the things as well, and teasing people in a friendly way.
The INFJ, I noticed they're so afraid of poking people and teasing people. That is something natural. Could you say that's true? Because that's my observation.
Yeah, it's true, and it's something I'm only learning now. It's like suddenly a new superpower. I didn't notice that extroverted thinking was such a versatile and really amazing function. I think I was afraid of it. I think I thought it was the wrong way to do things. Like you had to always come at it from yourself and from your own point of view. But now I'm realizing, wait, why did I think that? Where did that come from?
Wow, it sounds like the opposite journeys, like what I'm explaining also of myself, that I'm exercising the, you know, instead of denying someone's way of looking at things, I'm okay, at least I'm gonna hold myself. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna deny it. I'm not gonna accept it. I'm just gonna contemplate what if. And that feels also like a superpower. It makes me more empathetic in the end. It's like, it's weird because you would say introverted thinking is more logical, but in the end it also makes you, same with extroverted thinking, it makes you also more like connected to the other.
Yeah, it's funny how it goes because all functions have emotional connections. So every function, every personality type has emotions and has struggles and has things they deal with. It's just different kinds of emotions and different ways of dealing with the emotions.
Yeah.
I think that's I think why you can get some empathy from introvert thinking, or at least emotional intelligence. I think that's what you may get that, because I think introvert thinking has really helped me understand, okay, I might want something, or I might think something is important, but how do I go about getting it? And introverted thinking is very good at that, being able to see, okay, exactly why is something not working for me, or why am I not happy in a certain situation, or why is something not nice, or why am I going to Aruba?
Are you going to Aruba?
No, I'm not going to Aruba. I'm an INFJ, I only travel in my mind.
Okay.
No, I do travel.
Okay. Just to wrap this up, I think conclusion after all of the things that we have spoken today, learn more about how you can use, if you're an ENFP, your introverted thinking, if you're an INFJ, your extroverted thinking, and that will help you to understand each other's way of dealing with conflict, basically.
Yeah, and even if you don't, you'll still have fun doing it.
Yes, and acknowledge that this is like a journey, and you're learning, and involve the other person also into this Myers-Briggs journey, so you can both learn about your personality types, because that's what it is about. It's about learning about yourself and hopefully improving the quality of your relationships.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to this discussion, and don't forget to press the subscribe button.
Yes, and the like button. I'm going to put a link to his channel down below. Thank you for coming today, and maybe see you next time.
Till next time.
Okay, bye.